I was in the Air Force, I was just a dumb wrench turner, sniffing fumes. I go to the Army, they made me an officer. We started that program with 120-ish candidates. We graduated 12. I go and I check and I've got an email back from the unit. They're being activated for a deployment to Iraq. My squad was going over. They've got to go through a train up and everything. You'll be able to get there in time. And I was like, okay, I can see the logic of that. And so the aviation dream died that day. They signed the security agreement at the end of December. I get in there, I have no mission for like 6 weeks.
Wow.
Well, we can't actually execute that way anymore. And so mission change. Like I was assigned to every battalion from the beginning of that train up to the end.
One of the pieces there that I think is missed overnight that we don't often talk about is this idea that like we had certainty in just like it was second nature. Like we knew where to be somewhere, what to wear, how to stand, how to talk. You were given your dental appointments, you were given all of the stuff, your housing, your food, everything. It's there. You don't even think about it. Health insurance, it's all there. And you get out and all of that is gone overnight. And by the way, that's our most basic human need, is safety, security, certainty, however you want to call it.
In Maslow's hierarchy,
That's right.
Specialist Kirk Kraut guys in my team didn't make it back. They had some issues on that deployment. It was Iraq in the early days. It was a mess.
I'm curious to know what your mindset was that made you flip that switch of, I'm here because I want to go aviation and that sort of thing, to I want to deploy with my squad.
I was, pretty insular, just worried about security. There's wide street, sidewalk, and then there's like beachfront hotels and things. Just going out to go to the 7-Eleven, grab a 6-pack. I got halfway across the sidewalk and a screen door on like the 4th floor of this, beachfront condo thing slammed shut, and I'm just like, I don't know, I'm having a panic attack. I went to the VA, and they told me I was fine.
I would argue that most, if not all, suffering in the world comes from expectations not meeting reality. So we fret over it in whatever way, shape, or form.
It took a friend of mine to give me that opportunity. I didn't know what's a consultant? No idea.
Yeah.
Right? But lo and behold, I found a connection there.
Yeah.
And it changed my life trajectory.
Maybe, just maybe, there is a piece, a nugget, a tiny little piece in here that they have experienced that could potentially be useful for me. It might take some sifting.
Sure.
But this is the whole idea of the diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
How do I now sift through it to pull that one gold nugget out of the silt that I get?
Could change your entire life trajectory.
That could change your entire life trajectory.
Yeah. I'm going to steal this quote from the old senior partner at Greencastle. He's like, I'd rather be a smaller percentage owner of something much bigger than the 100% owner of something much smaller.
Yeah, agreed.
That makes sense. It takes a long time for that stuff to calm down. And I drank too much.
Yeah, sure.
That was how I coped. I was angry. I was furious with my fellow Americans for taking for granted what they had, not realizing what the rest of the world's going through, what it looks like.
What would be the number one piece of advice that you are giving them and maybe their family in order to navigate like the transition?
Yeah, number one thing that I would say for someone getting out is
friends, welcome to our next installation of the Mastering Military Transition series of the Prize Podcast. Today we have with us Troy Beane. Thank you for being here.
You got it.
I drove a little ways to get here. Before we kick anything off, I do want to give a couple shout outs. One to Ben Franklin Tech Partners here in Northeastern Pennsylvania, who are letting us use this wonderful space here. Pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
All the sense of Egyptian stuff. I know you can't see. Maybe someday I'll do like a little tour of the studio, but so thank you for that. I appreciate it. Also want to give a shout out to Raul, who has been editing our podcasts and actually doing a pretty damn good job, and also getting the clips and the shorts and all of that stuff out there. If you had feedback for him at all, please drop him in the show notes, but overall, or in the comments rather, but overall, I've actually been pretty impressed with what he's done. So thank you, Raul, appreciate you. Jumping right in.
Sure.
Troy Beane here, he was in the Air Force starting off, correct?
Originally.
Active duty. Did, I think, 4 years, right?
So my entire career was in the Guard
The entire crew was in the Guard.
with a lot of active duty time.
With okay, there you go. But you got out for a little bit, and then you went to the Army National Guard. Is that correct?
Actually overlapped.
It overlapped.
Yeah, so I actually enlisted in '98 into the Pennsylvania Air Guard, looking for a bonus somewhere, and found my way into civil engineers. So liquid fuel system maintenance, a stinky job, had a little bonus connected to it.
Oof. Yeah.
But learned to trade and those kinds of things. And then 9/11, Iraq War, and I saw an opportunity to go from the Air Force to the Army. Maybe do a little more. You're like, the Air Force is great. I mean,
Yeah, I was going
aim
to say,
high.
it's usually kind of a backwards.
Yeah. Right. So what'd you do? It's too many fumes or something. I don't know.
Right.
Above my head.
Yeah.
But the last year of my enlisted contract with the state of Pennsylvania, I was able to switch from Air to Army. Just got the Adjutant General to sign off, and did Tri-1 as an infantryman
Yeah.
in a detachment outside Phoenixville. That lasted about 6 months before my commander was like, "You need to go to OCS."
Wow. That's pretty awesome.
That's a fun joke. I love telling everybody. He's like, I was in the Air Force. I was just a dumb wrench turner, sniffing fumes. I go to the Army. They made me an officer.
So that's really, actually, that's really interesting. So being a Marine, I see people go from grunt to, like Air Force, because it's like, we lived in hell. Why go anywhere else? And you went from the chair force to a grunt, which an officer at that, which is an interesting roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
Tell me, I'm actually really curious. So I'm just going to let you do the intro because I completely screwed it up. But your movement there from enlisted Air Force to officer Army was one of, how would you characterize that? Like, what would be a phrase that you would give to that in order to lend credence to it properly?
Fraught.
Fraught. Why?
I had no idea what I was getting into.
Okay.
Their cultures are so different.
They're very different.
And as working in a trade shop in the Air Force, your first line supervisor is another NCO. Like, the officers you see are like the base engineer, right? There aren't many. So
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
leaving that culture, and it's small teams or independent functions, right? You go to the Army, like teams, squads, platoons.
Right.
I'd never seen a lieutenant. In my time,
That's
my
kinda
short
funny.
amount of time
Yeah.
being an enlisted infantryman before going to OCS,
So you had no like measuring stick.
I had no model.
Yeah,
I had no
yeah.
mental model of what a PL should be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You could ask my soldiers, they'd probably say, "Yeah, we know."
So when you say fraught, like, is it because you're learning from like a fire hose, or like why?
There was
fraught?
just a lot. It was a lot. I went through the accelerated OCS program in Pennsylvania.
I didn't know we had no CS here.
Yeah. So the regional, it partners with a couple different states. So it started like phase 0. It's like they're smoking you or whatever, just trying to weed out the people that aren't really committed. And then phase 1 is in Maryland, Camp Frederick. And then phase 2 was back at Fort Union Town Gap for like a month. And phase 3 is down at Fort McClellan, Alabama. It was hot. And then that's it.
Yeah.
8 weeks.
Yeah.
8 weeks standing on your head, you think. But we started that program with 120-ish candidates. We graduated 12.
Yeah.
So it was high attrition rate.
Yeah.
But most of them washed out after the first phase. So.
Yeah. I remember that actually from OCS from the Marines. It was like we started with 300 and I think we had 120.
Yeah.
So very similar. Well, I mean, you went down to 12.
I think they cycled them into, there's like a traditional program that takes like 18 months.
18 months.
That's like drill weekends, right?
Oh.
You can imagine that? I mean,
Yeah.
like kudos
That's dedication.
to those guys and gals.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not doing this
No, that's
for
dedication.
18 months. Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, wow. Interesting. So fraught because you didn't know what you were getting yourself into. But but is it also fraught because you're now navigating the culture? I think you said that, right? So I'm not making things up. But did you know that there was going to be that cultural difference?
I had no idea.
You had no idea. Okay.
So I'm always thinking, so like, you gotta put these things into perspective.
What
right?
even planted the seed?
Yeah, I wanted to do more. I wanted to lead. I was like, someone once told me, it's like, if someone opens a door for you, you should walk through it and see what's there. You can always go back.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't go there with the anticipation of going to OCS.
Okay.
I did, want to, when I joined the Air Force, I wanted to fly. I had glasses and all that kind of stuff. And I knew I couldn't do that. So I still wanted to pursue something like that, but I had no like timeline of, I didn't really know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah, I didn't even have my degree, right? They allowed me to do an early commission. I didn't
Wait,
finish
so you didn't have your degree?
I didn't finish my bachelor's degree until I was a first lieutenant.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So just a whole lot of learning in that, young time frame.
So the reason I'm kind of drilling on that is because there's a transition here.
Sure.
Right. And that's kind of the whole point of this podcast, right? Was there anything in that first transition that you found to be particularly challenging?
It was eye-opening to see the role of the middle enlisted, like the staff sergeant, the E5s, the E6s, from one to the other, right? In the Air Force, they're more individual contributors, right?
Oh, interesting.
In the Army, right, they're leaders. Like they're in your business. They're developing you. They're working with you.
Nice.
Not that that doesn't happen. It's two totally different cultures and functions, right? In the Army, the unit is the team, right? In the Air Force, it's like you need to go and perform this task and maybe work alongside others in varied trades in order to perform a task. But they just function differently. So
That's interesting.
yeah.
So what part of that did you find to be enlightening, and what part of that did you find to be challenging?
The enlightening part would be that you get to contribute. I mean, you have to perform to the same standard as everyone and replicate all of the same things. But then you can still excel and help lead and find other opportunities in the Army. In the Air Force, it's just, this is the task, like it, from beginning to end, right? It's like, you did it, turn your work order in, it's complete.
Interesting.
Two different things.
Yeah.
Working independently versus working together.
Okay. So I could see pros and cons of each.
Yeah.
Okay. So you retired from the Army.
21 years.
In the Army specifically?
From the Pennsylvania Army National Guard, but as an Army
okay.
officer. My last day in uniform was in Kuwait.
Oh, wow.
So I left from a deployment, knowing that I was complete.
Yeah.
And I haven't shaved this chin since that morning.
Man, it took a while to grow.
Yeah, there's some trimming, but
Right.
freedom beard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah.
We'll get there, actually, because I want to talk about that. I think this is really just fascinating because you went from, and I'm saying this, by the way, as someone who I wanted to fly planes since I was 5, right? And then I went to the Marine Corps and did that. And
you got to do it.
Well, right, but you
awesome.
you went from the Air Force, which I think everyone has that mental model of like, this is where you fly, to the Army, which by the way has more aircraft than the Air Force, and you didn't pursue that.
Well, funny you mentioned that.
Okay.
So when I just was going to OCS, like I had the opportunity.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
They're like, what branch do you want to pursue? And I went into OCS thinking, I'm going aviation. I'm going to fly Apaches or something.
Yeah.
And we got through to like the 6th week or so where we're finally allowed to go get into our emails and things. And I go and I check and I've got an email back from the unit. They're being activated for a deployment to Iraq. My squad was going over.
Yeah.
And I went to my TAC instructor and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna push pause on this. I'm not gonna finish. I'm gonna go deploy with my unit, and then I'll come back. And he's like, dude, like you don't realize how far you got through this already. You're almost there. Just finish, branch infantry, and go over with them. They've got to go through a train up and everything. You'll be able to get there in time. And I was like, okay, I can see the logic of that. And so the aviation dream died that day.
Wow.
And that's what I did. Except that after, getting through OCS, rushing to get a seat at the basic course down at Fort Benning, getting through all of that, not going to Ranger or any of those things, which you typically follow after basic. Got home so that I could go with him. Reported to my battalion commander, said, this is what I want to do. He's like, absolutely not. You are way too green.
Okay.
And so, that stung, but I understood it. And so my career started there. But
so you didn't deploy with them?
I didn't deploy with them.
Okay.
Task with it. There's connections to that deployment though. So Specialist Kirk Kraut was guys in my team didn't make it back. They had some issues on that deployment. I mean, it was Iraq in the early days. It was a mess. So I was trying to do that. Who knows? Might not be here.
Yeah. Well, that's a fortuitous way to look at it. I'm curious to know what your mindset was that made you flip that switch of I'm here because I want to go aviation and that sort of thing to I want to deploy with my squad. Was it the brotherhood? Was it that you felt like you were being left behind? Was it that you felt a sense of duty? All of the same?
A combination of them, deciding to go to OCS. I wanted to do more. Leaving the Air Force to go to the Army, it was a month after the Iraq War started that I got my paperwork through and left. I was like, look, I love the Air Force. I had a couple of fun deployments, short tour stuff. That was interesting. I had 2 deployments, short deployments to Saudi. So they've been over the desert.
Air Force.
They've been over to the desert already. One immediately after 9/11.
Wow.
I wanted to get in the fight. Right? We had stuff to do, right? And I wanted to be a part of that.
So when you said you wanted to do more, it was stemming from that?
It was.
Okay.
It was. And not knocking the Air Force at all.
Sure.
But I was a bit of a hard charger. So that culture was it wasn't the best fit for me, right? So it was time to go try something new.
Yeah.
And, it fit. So that kind of got activated in me in that moment. It's like, I can absolutely be an infantry officer. I wanted to go fly, but that was for me. Now it's my guys. And what more of a challenge can there be than to be a leader of men in combat?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful. And you got to do that. So you did wind up going to Iraq.
A couple years later.
Same unit?
Same brigade, same battalion.
Different people.
Yeah,
sure.
Because, they move you around.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And that's also probably part of it. It's like, no, you can't go with those guys. It's like, you can't, they always move you to a new unit when you go from enlisted to officer because those relationships.
Absolutely.
Right. It's difficult. So, yeah.
Okay. So how was that for you? Actually finally getting to go over there, did it play out the way you expected it to?
I don't know what I expected.
Okay, so you didn't have expectations?
Not really. It's
okay.
Like, let's just go. Who knows what we're going to see, what we're going to get into, what the roles are going to be. And there was a lot of shifting going on. I had a lot of different hats to wear just through the mobilization. So I was an infantry PL. The unit we were in adopted the Stryker platform. So we went through the whole new equipment fielding process and training. So I was in Charlie Company, first 111th when I was at PL. So we got the Stryker designation, didn't have the vehicles yet. But so we're training.
We're pretending.
Yeah, a little bit, right? But then you start to get some of the equipment in.
Yeah.
Then I got an opportunity to take an XO position as a first lieutenant in a nearby unit that was being relocated, reorganized under the brigade, just anti-tank unit. It's in Hamburg, Pennsylvania. And well, I never seen a tow system, but it's a smaller unit, right? It's more specialized. And that was an air defense artillery unit before. So we've got to train these soldiers that were not infantrymen to be infantrymen and field the equipment and deploy with them. So that was talk about transitions. That was pretty interesting.
Okay, so what was that like?
So my commander at the time, which I'm sure he'll love that I'm going to quote him on this, Brian Laird, great guy. It's the Hamburg Rod and Gun Club.
Oh yeah,
yeah, and that is not. I mean, you could snicker a little bit about it, but like the tightness and the culture and the connection of those guys was so tight.
It's a good leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. They looked after each other. There was this guy, Staff Sergeant Hornberger, had this giant mug of coffee, cigars, like hardly any teeth. He's like, I'm going. I was like, brother, I love your heart. It's like, I don't think you can pass a PT test. I think you got heart issues. It's like, I think, you be a part of the auxiliary, come back and see us, but I don't think you're making it on the deployment list.
Yeah.
But like, that's the type of commitment that they have.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah. And so then Iraq, Afghanistan?
I didn't go to Afghanistan.
You didn't go to Afghanistan?
No.
So was it Iraq twice?
I was Iraq in 2008, 2009.
Yeah.
And then Kuwait in 17, 18.
Oh, okay.
For Spartan Shield.
Kuwait. I'm wondering if we overlapped at that time.
Yeah, what were you doing?
No, I got out in 17. 16. I got out in 16. So that would have been before that. So Spartan Shield, what was that all about?
So that was like Army Central Command Forward. So we were kind of that ARCENT level over all of the Middle East. It's completely different deployment. I mean, that's it's hazardous duty pay, but I mean,
it's
Kip Cupcake at Arif John,
right?
I mean, there's a Chili's.
Yeah.
I mean, lots of dust storms. The weather's not good, but I mean, there's a lot of
maybe a camel here or there, but yeah.
There's a lot of missions that were available around there, and that was like a division headquarters.
This is more strategic.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay. Whoa. Okay. So how was that going from one deployment to the other? Like, what did that do up here?
Oh, they're very different.
Yeah.
Completely different expectations. I mean, Iraq in 2007, 2008, and we were transitioning from offensive operations to more of like the stability ops, right? Like the security agreement got signed, I think, right before we got in there. So we were leaning in to conduct offensive operations unilaterally, and then it was getting warrants for any raids and like all that kind of stuff. It was another transition happening in real time. So completely different.
So I want to touch on something right there. I've had several people on this podcast, and it's affected them differently. Of like, I'm going to go over there and do what I was trained to do, which, I mean, let's be real here, is to take the fight to the enemy, and being prepared to take lives and protect your people, and that has affected different people that I've met in different ways, especially when it didn't play out the way that they expected to. Now, I'm gonna one, draw an observation that I'm seeing from you, and then two, kind of see about a parallel here.
Okay.
One, it seems to me, and just in the time that I've known you, that you're a very flexible person, and someone who maybe doesn't have expectations, or I should say, maybe you're very open-minded in the way that you approach the world. I don't know when that started or where that happened or where that came from, but that's my observation.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. The other piece of that, though, being like, I have met people, like I said, who's been on the podcast, where they didn't go and deploy in the way that they thought they were going to, and it really affected them deeply, right? Like, that was their trauma. I'm curious to know how that affected you going in there and having to shift a mindset. And then if you think that your ability to be flexible and open-minded has played a role in how it has affected you.
It's a great question, and rather observant of you. So, I try to see the opportunity in everything. So I'm an optimist. I'm an entrepreneur. Like, you find, the benefit in even the shittiest days.
Absolutely.
Right? There's always a silver lining if you're willing to put forth the effort to try to find it. So, I think I've had some success there. You kind of make your own luck when you orient in that direction versus a very rigid view. The answer could be no, and that's the end of your day, right? But it's not for me, right? So, we got some time, right?
We've got some time. Let me have it.
Let me go back a little bit more to tell you some more of the story.
Yeah, please do.
About how we were mobilizing to go. So, this anti-tank unit, it's 2008. We're not shooting tanks anymore, right? So at the brigade, and we're a brigade separate company. I'm not under a battalion, right? So it's this special unit available to do things at the direction of the brigade commander or the S3 in the original design of the striker unit. So they're trying to figure out how do we employ this unit to be most effective for the footprint and the mission that we were having over there. And, they went on the PDSS and looked at what the unit ahead of us was doing because we were, relief in place and taking over the territory. Mm-hmm. And they had organized that unit by actually pushing all of the anti-tank units out as enablers to the battalions and then reconstituting the flagpole of that organization as like a specialized, like almost special operations unit at the brigade level. It was time-sensitive targeting. It was tactical site exploitation. It was the PSD for the brigade commander. So when I was going through the train-up, I lost my guys. I gained an infantry platoon from another company. I gained a unit to retool from the Cav squadron. It was the CBRN platoon to configure them as tactical site exploitation. So the infantry platoon became the TST, the time-sensitive targeting. So it's like all of this. So I'm never done special operations. I'm more of the, I'm the company commander, so I'm trying to enable them to perform their tasks. I'm not in each of those, but understanding how to deploy those. I got a crash course to go out to Fort Bliss to work with the asymmetric warfare group.
Oh, cool.
And, we practiced with SEAL Team 10 on a mission during our JRTC rotation. It's just mind-blowing opportunities.
Yeah.
But I'm leaving the States thinking I'm going over for a deployment where I'm going to be leveraging this hybrid special operations-esque force for the brigade commander. They signed the security agreement at the end of December. I get in there, I have no mission for like 6 weeks.
Wow.
Because they're like, well, we can't actually execute that way anymore. So you sit tight and we'll figure out what we're gonna do with you.
Yeah.
And so mission change. Like I was assigned to every battalion from the beginning of that train up to the end. So maintaining that flexibility and looking for those opportunities and presenting myself and my unit in whatever configuration that it was being given as this is what we can do for you was the orientation. So if I went in there with like with what we started with, I wouldn't have gotten anywhere.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you also had kind of like a service mindset there too. Of like, how can I be of service to you?
When you have that kind of specialty enabler, like you're not a straight infantry unit that has like, this is your territory, you are to close with and destroy the enemy. It's like, no, you're bringing this special skill set or tool set in order to enable a larger unit in order to accomplish that mission.
Right.
They don't necessarily know. It's like, you're an aviator. So I get on the horn, for CAS, and I'm telling you what to bring. No, I'm telling you the target.
Right.
You're figuring out
I'm going to tell you what I'm rigging.
Same kind of concept.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. I want to put a pin in that because I think there's a lot of illustration I think to be had in that mindset. And I want to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm going to pause that for a second. So you did 20 years now and you became a major, right? I was not in the Guard or reserves, right? So my lens is very active duty focused. For someone who was there, and I know you had a lot of active duty time, you said, right?
9 years.
So 9 years active. What were you doing
In between?
outside? Yeah.
Great question. Depending on the month, there's a lot of military time while also trying to hold down a job and to advance a civilian career. You know, I mean, it was mutually reinforcing for a little while. I was highly focused on getting through OCS. So in those early days. So after I decided, man, I got to put all this in sequence. So like 2003, the Iraq War started. I said, I want to go to OCS. I don't have my degree, but I'm in college at Westchester. So I got to take time off to go to OCS, to go to OBC, and still get my degree done. And I've got obligations to get those things done in time. My first job out of college was another veteran that I didn't. This is an interesting story. Another veteran didn't know. So trying to find, how do I apply that? I think that's a good skill set. See if I can help myself get in jobs. So this is a guy, Brian Dunn, who you probably know.
Yeah, maybe.
He's in the region.
Okay.
He also went through the vet fellowship program.
Oh, cool.
Recently. So it's like a small world how these things kind of interact. But he was doing some recruiting. And so he found this other guy who's also a veteran working for DHL Express. So I got a job in logistics as a field service supervisor out of Bristol, working for a guy named Rob McCrae. Hold on to that because that'll come back around also. So I started, that was my first job, working with the Teamsters
at DHL
for last mile delivery for express packages.
Yeah.
That was an experience.
Yeah.
So I'm there about a year, and then I got called up for pre-mode. So I had 1 year of civilian post graduate work, right? In an entry-level job. Bought a house, got married, deployed. And then while I was overseas on that Iraq deployment, DHL reorganized the company, which enabled them to remove my job. So it gave me an opportunity with, there's like this other logistics element that was part of the overall umbrella for less money on the other side of the country, which was clearly like, move on.
Trying to force you out.
Yeah. So yeah, coming in off of a combat patrol, I got my mail and I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. So I went home unemployed after my Iraq tour. And I went back to bartending and doing like odd jobs and stuff. And then a fellow company commander, a guy who was on that 2003 deployment, Pete Muller, who worked for Greencastle. And he was getting hired by a client and said, hey, you still looking for something? And I said, initially I'm like, no, I'm good. But I was like, you know what? Yeah. Like, I'm trying to make my own way, but like that pride that you have.
Of course.
Right? So I'm like, yeah, sure. So I get an interview. I think I bomb it. They were like, yeah, you did good. Can you start tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah. So signed the offer. So I went to start at Greencastle as an associate in 2010. So I got back in 2009. So a year of like, I'll figure it out, you know. And getting back off of combat tours, you know, all sorts of transition and wasn't always in a good place. But, you know, things started looking up. And I took to consulting with that kind of open mind and like, what can we get into? What can I do? It stuck, right? So I did well quickly. Again, no model of what's a consult. I don't know. What do you need done?
Which is probably a good model to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, here's the book that I have and we're going to apply the doctrine in order. It was like, what are you trying to solve? And how do you want it to look? And who am I going to talk to get there? And just go. And so John Gronsky was a director at Greencastle at the time, and he was my direct supervisor, but he was not on site. He was on another project. So I was just kind of that like remote company commander off doing something else with just a, kind of support.
Right, direction.
If I needed something, I could call him. But,
Yeah.
I'm sending sit reps like the end of the week. Like, hey, it's kind of what we did. It's kind of what next week's going to look like. So, that went really well, and it grew and evolved. Soon I started interviewing folks for the company, moving up. So I went from associate to management consultant to senior consultant to director to executive director to COO. Yeah.
So something I guess that you're illustrating here, which is interesting to me, because again, I'm active duty, right? So that's my lens, is transition in a guard or reserve world is almost constant.
It's given. It's a given. People don't understand this. I didn't have an expectation of it either.
Yeah.
Like the sheer magnitude of what they do, and compared to like active duties, like you're on a base, you're going out to the field, you're coming back, you're going to classes, but it's all kind of in the same space all the time. And then there's a deployment, and there's this big, massive effort, and you get everything up. In the guard, you're scattered across the state to start with. You get a drill weekend, you got to show up probably the night prior, get all your equipment, check everybody in, you got everything. You've got to deploy to your training site, with an advon, figure out where all your people are going, do all the coordination to get the training, then conduct the training, then consolidate and redeploy before you can go home, all in a weekend. And sometimes it's 100 miles in a convoy over the road. Like, it's nuts. But that mobility, that capability, you're always kind of like, all right, what are we doing next, right?
That's a special skill, because what you're illustrating is flexibility, which tends to be the theme today. Like the resourcefulness and the flexibility that you're able to kind of make happen, that probably really sets you up for success in Greencastle, because you already illustrated here, I'm a problem solver. Forget the consultant or any of that stuff. I'm a problem solver.
Yeah.
Tell me what the end goal is, I'll get you there.
That's right.
Which I do actually think is a superpower for, I think, veterans in general. The whole idea of this is commander's intent. Just go do. Don't tell me how. I always find it funny.
You don't want to know.
Right,
how.
exactly. Like the sergeant that's do you really want to know how?
No.
You don't want to know how.
Yeah.
But I think that there's such a superpower that sometimes is forgotten about. That hey, you have this. This is actually something you learned, and it's not something that you can easily put your finger on, but you have it. It was trained into you.
It's something we know.
Yeah.
It's something that the civilian world doesn't even fathom is possible.
Yes.
Especially for, guys and gals that are, youthful, right? To have that kind of capability and experience. There's so much, you look for the graybeards to have the wisdom to be able to pull those things together, to be able to pull that kind of stuff together, to have that multi-domain experience to synergize a solution quickly.
Yeah.
They don't put the faith in younger leaders in order to do that. And they don't know that damn near every NCO and junior military officer has done that in spades. So that's one of the conflicts I think that a lot of folks have coming back. Is you were able to do amazing things in austere environments with limited guidance.
Yeah.
And then the best opportunity you can get is this, marginalized sheet of paper that says, here's your cubicle, here, you're going to work with those people over there. Don't be too loud, right? When they can run circles, if they were just given the opportunity and a little bit of support and resources to go and do it.
Well, I think a base of that too, and this is something I can go into later, but like what we're doing at Prize, right, is the idea that we're losing a few things that we had a lot of in the military. And one of the pieces there that I think is missed overnight that we don't often talk about is this idea that we had certainty in just it was second nature. We we knew where to be somewhere, what to wear, how to stand, how to talk. You know, you were given your dental appointments, you were given all of the stuff, your housing, your food, everything. It's there. You don't even think about it. Health insurance, it's all there. And you get out and all of that is gone overnight. And by the way, that's our most basic human need, is safety, security, certainty, however you want to call it.
In Maslow's hierarchy,
That's right. It is the base of that triangle. So when we get out, that's gone. So that ability for us to operate in a, you know, like, here's commander's intent, go execute, was, I think, I don't want to say easier, but it was more natural because we had that basic human need handled, right? But now we're going out into the civilian world and it is there, but it's elusive, right? There's like 45,000 just different nonprofits alone in the space, which can provide a lot of this, right? Same with the VA. But you
got to make it your own.
You've got to make it your own. You got to own it, right?
If you're spinning cycles in your head worrying about where you're going to sleep tonight, or where the meal's going to come from, or, you know, like, once those things are baked, you can, like, it's like a ladder, that pyramid, right? You can't work on, you know, belonging when you're still worried about security.
Absolutely.
Right. You gotta solve those things and then, you know, keep moving.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing, though, that I think is the transition to really happen, and I think you know this, is that it doesn't come from out there. Where in the military it did.
Right.
It has to come from it.
Yeah, well, that's quite a shift.
Right? It is quite a shift. But I love that you're illustrating, and I guess I didn't really think about this, is that is almost constant when you're in the Guard, because you may go back and forth from being active to being, you know, Guard, you know, weekend warrior.
How many employers are out there that can tolerate that? I mean, like, the op tempo has slowed down a little bit, right, since the global war on terror. But, you know, I was thankful for a company like Greencastle that was founded by Guardsmen, understood that.
Yeah.
That was forward in the design of the company and the staffing. It's like, we understand. It's like, they don't want you to go. I mean, like, I remember having a conversation with one of the partners at one point. It's like, you know, at what point are you going to focus on your, you know, your main livelihood versus, you know, it's like, yeah, I got it. But it's like, they're mutually supportive, right, for a little while.
And there's a continuum there. Yeah. So let's fast forward here. You did 21 years. You are now retiring out of Kuwait, and you come from a deployment to the wonderful world that we live in today.
Yeah.
How was that?
Coming back from, you know, the last one, the Kuwait one.
Yeah.
Man, I couldn't.
And into retirement.
Couldn't wait to get back.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I left, you know, being, you know, a director at Greencastle and working at high levels in Fortune 500 companies, solving really complex problems. So I didn't realize this, but in like the military to civilian culture, I was operating day to day at a higher echelon than my rank allowed me in the military.
I'm sure.
So that deployment was a bit of frustration for me because, you know, I was a major, but I was a major in the division headquarters at Army Central. Like, I was not operating at my level.
Yeah.
So that was frustrating. So I had a good time there. You know, but I was done.
Yeah,
right?
I got you.
I'm like, I finally reached a point that's like, you know, when I joined, you know, when I went to OCS, I'm like, oh yeah, I had stars in my eyes, like I could do it, right? They move at different paces, right?
Yeah, sure.
I mean, at the time, yeah, that was an aspiration, but, you know, getting through it, you know, going to ILE or Command General Staff, like starting to do that, I'm like, it's just a lot to do all of those things and to still serve yourself and your family and everything else.
Yeah.
And, like, kudos to the guys who done it. Some of the company commanders I served with in Iraq are pinning 06 right now.
Are they?
Yeah.
Wow.
My
okay, cool.
Isn't
that funny?
My company commander that sent me to OCS, Andy O'Connor, if you're watching, is up for 1-star right now.
That's amazing.
It's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's funny too, as I look back at like all the people that were my peers, and they're like commanders and, you know, like lieutenant colonels and stuff like that. I'm like, what? Like that would be me right now?
Yeah.
And I often joke that like my biggest achievement in the military was I never had to be major. I never had to be a field grade officer. Anyway,
Lucky you.
yeah, lucky me. um, but okay, so I'm curious to know though, like, what did it do to your psyche coming back from like that deployment, especially not maybe being treated or
It was very different, right? So like at that time, I was married. I had my career was going places.
Greencastle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had approached the senior partner before I left about maybe buying in as an owner. He's like, you should deploy, get your retirement, like things to work out when you get back. Like, yeah, it's like just a very supportive environment. But I had kids.
Yeah.
Right? So deploying with kids is a totally different thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was the swan song. It was okay. Yeah. So do I miss putting on a uniform? Do I miss the camaraderie? Absolutely. I don't miss any of the bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But you need a little bit of that in order to, give you that grit and challenge in order to overcome things. But you could just look around, you could find some of that too, out of the civilian world.
100%. But what was it for you, like coming back from that? Did you just jump in and it was kind of ain't no thing? I mean, now it's a Tuesday.
Yeah, no, that one. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the Iraq deployment. Different story.
Yeah.
Coming back from Kuwait, I was like, all right, let's.
So how did you navigate that then? Because there's obviously a gap in time, and I get it. Combat deployment, you come back. How did you navigate the challenges that you faced coming back from that one, Iraq deployment?
Poorly.
Sure.
They've gotten better, I think, at addressing some of the tension. We went through the screenings and everything. You had the conversation. You're sitting around a room talking about your experience and all that. And of course, I'm like, I'm fine, whatever. Not realizing.
Yeah.
So, we've got 2 weeks of decompression time at Fort Dix, and then you're right back at it. So, my wife and I, newlyweds still, just like we got married right before I deployed. We got like a long weekend down in Ocean City, Maryland. Get down to the Fenwick Inn or whatever. And yeah, it'll be great. I couldn't walk across the street. I was still like on.
Yeah.
So it's not like super big high rises. The Fenwick, you're down there, Fenwick Inn, I think it's like 8 floors or whatever. There's wide street, sidewalk, and then there's like beachfront hotels and things. Just going out to go to the 7-Eleven, grab a 6-pack. I got halfway across the sidewalk and a screen door on like the 4th floor of this, beachfront condo thing slammed shut. And I'm just like, I don't know, I'm having a panic attack. Naked. I don't have a weapon. And I don't really remember how I got back into my room. And I'm like, I need a minute, So that heightened, adrenaline fueled, like it takes a long time for that stuff to calm down.
Mm-hmm.
And I drank too much. Right?
Yeah, sure.
That was how I coped. I was angry. I was furious with my fellow Americans for taking for granted what they had, not realizing what the rest of the world's going through, what it looks like.
Yeah.
It took me a while to work through that stuff.
And how did you lean on like any resources, any programs? Was it?
I went to the VA.
Yeah.
And they told me I was fine.
Of course. Yeah. I think they're getting better about that.
I think they are too.
But like, so how did you handle it then? You just said, okay, I guess I'm okay.
I pulled myself through it.
Yeah.
And, a couple of friends that, at certain times were there to help me or keep me from getting arrested, at the right times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're pushing boundaries. So, thanks, guys.
Well, and I appreciate that. I think that you're if I may, like I think you're touching on the idea of community, and I know that's been very important to you outside of things. So I guess again, just what I know about you and like in our experience of knowing one another is you are very network and community oriented. So, I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. At that time, were you still as focused on network and community, and what did that play in your own success?
At that time, I was not. I was, pretty insular, just worried about security, right? Worried about putting food on the table.
So how did you make that shift? Was it that when your friend reached out and said Greencastle?
Right.
It is. So it is community.
It is. I mean, but I wasn't oriented that way.
Yeah.
Right? I was my first inclination was I'm fine, right? I'll figure it out, right? I'm doing my own thing. I'm like buying like government surplus, Gaylords full of whatever, sorting it out and selling it on eBay. Like, oh, this is what I'm going to do, right? And he's like, yeah.
So how
if you're looking for something, we try. So it worked. And then I found a community of folks that, were similar.
In Greencastle.
And I found that I could take those skills that weren't being recognized by others and put them to good use. So now it's activating. Now I see there's a pathway. Now I recognize how to connect that back to other people. And it just kind of blossomed.
And thank you.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that's something very, very much so needed and challenging for a lot of people to just like come to grips with that, like, oh, I need to actually rely on someone else. However, when we were in the military and we were kicking down doors or whatever it may have been, my wingman, like I would never go out without a wingman.
Right.
Right? Like you have to rely on someone. They train us to do this. It's not get back and now you're on your own. That is not a thing, right? So I am curious, like if someone is getting out today and they're dealing with that heightened, fight or flight, that sort of mechanism, and they want to be like, I am on my own, I got this, I might handle it. And a friend reaches out, like what advice do you have for that person, leveraging your own experience to overcome that?
You got to kind of pre-plan for it. And I know that they talked a little bit about these things. It falls on deaf ears. You don't think about it.
Sure.
Right. But you got to have your battle buddy. You got to have your support network. You got to have strong relationships with your family, because you're going to test them.
Yeah.
When you're going through it.
Yeah.
And if it's fragile, it's going to break, and you're going to go deeper into whatever you're going through. So you got to have a good support system.
What if you don't?
Then you're going to have to find it, or you're going to have some rough days. It just is what it is. You can't do it alone.
Right.
I mean, you can try, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
Right. Especially in like this community.
Yes.
Right. In the greater Philadelphia area, like the veterans network here is just fantastic.
I completely agree. I don't want to leave this just yet. I am curious to know if you have any insight for developing that mindset. Because it seems to me like this may have been a mindset that you have had instilled in you at some point as a child. I don't know. But you have this open, flexible, resourceful mindset that I think may, and tell me if I'm wrong, but it may have let you even be open to that person who gave you the olive branch, right? I know that's not the case for everyone.
Yeah.
So how would you go about maybe helping someone or guiding them into developing that sort of mindset?
It's a good question. You got to have to discover it for yourself, but you could be told, like, the story's not written, right?
Yeah.
You might have been impressed upon about obligations or expectations for your life. And, I refer those to kind of like military doctrine. It's a guide, right?
Yeah.
And you can take it or leave it, but it might not be the thing you need in order to get to the next objective, right? Doctrine and expectations are set by other people. You are the only one going through your experience. So if you're willing, if you want to succeed, if you want to live and go through it, right, and go to the next level, then you've got to find within you and around you the ways to get through that stuff. It might not come out the way you intend. You might not achieve it in the way that you thought you were going to, but as long as you've got the perseverance to see it through, to get out of bed, to, lace up your boots. I'd say shave, but I don't. Just face.
You shave your head.
That's true.
Okay.
Just face the music every day.
Yeah.
And go and get it done, right? You'll find that opportunities are there, and as long as you're not rigid in how or what you're open to,
yeah,
there's opportunities everywhere.
Yes.
And if somebody offers to help, put it through the lens of that it might be good, right? Don't be so prideful that, you can't accept charity or that they don't understand. They might not. Just give it a chance. And, maybe it's a waste of time, but you won't know unless you let it breathe a little bit.
Yeah. I've heard that as a theme a few times in people that I've talked to, of like the idea that what you said, just be open to it, because even if it is not necessarily the right fit, there's likely, if you really try, and I think you have a quote here of check your ego at the door, of pull maybe that side of you, which is hard, by the way, especially if you are in a fight or flight, right? Because ego is really just meant to protect you, right? But set that aside and now go, okay, I am not, I think the term was, Ben, I'm sorry if I screw this up, but chronically unique, I think was the term he used, in that, like, they can't help me because I was this and you were that. Right. But setting that aside of maybe, just maybe, there is a piece, a nugget, a tiny little piece in here that they have experienced that could potentially be useful for me. It might take some sifting.
Sure.
But this is the whole idea of the diamond in the rough. How do I now sift through it to pull that one gold nugget out of the silt that I get?
Could change your entire life
trajectory.
trajectory.
That could change your entire life trajectory.
Yeah.
But it's that one tiny little idea, and being open to the whole to find the little.
Yeah. So on that point, going back to that time after my Iraq employment, right? I had this rigid thought in my mind of who I was just a company commander in a combat zone. I was a landowner. I can do anything, right? I had to manage all sorts of very complex problems. This running infrastructure projects with NGOs and with the Iraqis, and I've got an Iraqi army battalion assigned to me that I'm supposed to be developing, like all of this crazy stuff. And I come back, I got no job.
Yeah.
Right? In my mind, right at that time, the ego about it.
Yeah.
It's like, I should be running a company. That they should be knocking my door down to give me that opportunity.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of vets that come out of the military. I was in 04, I was in 05, I was in 06. I can, correlating that kind of experience. I'm going to step in and I'm going to run a division in a Fortune 100. The fuck you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Because you don't know anything about that business, that culture, the way those things. It's like, you got to reframe and start over. You got to find that opportunity. I couldn't see it. And it took a friend of mine to give me that opportunity. I didn't know what's a consultant. No idea.
Yeah.
Right? But lo and behold, I found a connection there.
Yeah.
And it changed my life trajectory.
So fast forwarding to today, the Troy that's sitting in front of me today.
Sure.
You are, please don't let me butcher the titles here. Maybe I'll just look. So you're at the Union League. And what's the name of the program? It's veteran.
So it's the Veterans Fellowship Program,
Veterans
sponsored
Fellowship
by the Business Leadership Forum of the Union League. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You run VXL.
Yeah, that's my company.
That's your company. And tell me if I'm wrong, but at least when we were doing Bunker Labs, you were also geared towards helping place veterans in more executive type roles?
So that's a piece of the
It's a
VXL,
piece of VXL.
VXL's formula.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a couple things there. And I'll kind of
Please do.
thread it together. So VXL, acronym, Veteran Executive Leadership, is focused on helping military veterans find greater opportunities, but really through entrepreneurship through acquisition. And then other shared services, things that kind of bolt on and support it. So I have a portfolio of companies. I've got an HVAC service company, Sigmund Forced Air Systems in Hanover. I've got Schaefer Mechanical Services Incorporated, a plumbing mechanical contractor for multifamily high rises, and do work all throughout Maryland, blending those together into one new entity. But the model of VXL is to find veterans that have the capacity and the desire to be more than what they are today, or to become a business owner. Maybe they don't have the money, maybe they don't have the experience, maybe they're looking for that kind of like battalion headquarters cover in order to help them do it, or to work with a partner in order to make that leap. And that's what VXL is designed to do.
Okay. And what's your framework there? How do you one, identify the right person, help mold them, and get them to where they want to be? And then what's the handoff point?
Yeah. So it's a mix. It depends. I mean, it's messy. Every vet's a little bit different.
Yeah.
They have different risk tolerances. They have different resources themselves. So we've got to first identify how ready they are and for what, and in what industry are you looking for. And then it's finding a business that matches, that's at the stage that it's time to exit. And so you've got to so people find me. I'm not out recruiting for entrepreneurs, but those that I interact with, and there's a few. I'm working with a couple right now to try to find things and work through their search in order to find a business for them to acquire.
Sure.
I might take a small percentage of that. VXL might take a role in back office support or other shared services, or it could just be like an arm's length, transaction and just some mentoring and, support. Every deal and every vet, every entrepreneur has a different mix. But all of those things, that flexibility, right? It's like, I kind of know what you're gonna need, but you don't know that. And so let me walk you through it a bit, and value for value, but the whole goal is that you can succeed with that, in the long term. I'm going to steal this quote from the old senior partner at Greencastle, Selwyn Evans. He said this, stuck with me. He was like, I'd rather be a smaller percentage owner of something much bigger than 100% owner of something much smaller.
Yeah, agreed.
That makes sense. And so it's the same kind of concept here. It's like, my portfolio companies I own right now, but I'll take a minority share of 100 other veterans businesses to build an ecosystem that supports each other.
Absolutely.
And sees them have the generational wealth, and to see those community businesses preserved versus them closing because they don't have a plan, or traditional private equity coming in and harvesting what's there and destroying the value that's built. They're not all that way, but that's there's that fear, right, every time. So there's a way. It takes more to do. I'm probably leaving some money on the table in the approach, but I think it's a good cause.
Well, have you ever read 7 Habits of Highly Effective People?
Yeah, covered.
Yeah. How he describes a win-win situation. I love that what you're describing here is you've created an ecosystem of win-win situations. And I think that one of the things that's near and dear to a lot of our hearts as veterans, whether we want to admit it or not, or whether the journey takes us there or not, is that at the heart of it all, we are about service. It's in the name, right? I think I've said those on almost every podcast at this point, but we are service members.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can use your resourcefulness, your flexibility, your open-mindedness, finding those opportunities, creating those opportunities to not only serve the community, but serve yourself in the process, and make that a machine, to make that a cohesive picture, to me, that's like to me, in my value system,
It's the ultimate win.
that is the ultimate win.
Yeah.
I would love to know from you, first off, someone is getting out today. Let's just go generic because, there's lots of different things that could be affecting a person, but someone is getting out today. What would be the number one piece of advice that you are giving them and maybe their family in order to navigate like the transition?
Yeah, number one thing that I would say for someone getting out is find the community connection with a group that has some interest in, there are so many of them. I think you said there's like 40,000 veteran support organizations out there.
Yeah.
You can find one that's close to you, that's got some kind of mutual interest, and just go get involved. Just go hang with people that you're familiar with from a camaraderie perspective or from a special interest, and just be around them. That'll help, right? And from just relating to people, right? Like the Vet Fellowship program that we run down at the League, you build greater relationships.
Yeah.
Right? You share your stories. You learn about what people are going through or what they're looking for. And, maybe you've got something in your network that can help one of those guys, and that vice versa, right? But it starts with that, take a risk and, just show up. Say hi, offer something. Or just go and have a cup of coffee a couple of times before you're comfortable speaking up. Either way, you got to be a part of it.
Yeah.
If you don't, you might get through it. It's going to be harder. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of the communities that I've seen in and around this area, meeting you, and I went to the veteran entrepreneur leadership program that you have a couple of days, I guess more than a couple of days, but like a few weeks back, like that was a very awesome experience, getting to see people that I know at this point, but also meeting a lot that you can tell care about even my success in the 5 minutes that I talked to them was really, really cool. And I think that that's something that is very common in this community, is that we do care about the success of other people. And it may not always feel that way, but it's out there. It exists. It's 100% real. So letting ourselves be open to that, I think, is huge. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book of all time is hands down Without Remorse by Tom Clancy.
Without Remorse. Interesting. Why?
Man, Clark, that character, it's just, so we're talking about the community, right?
Yeah.
That's a guy that was just doing it on his own, right?
like shooter?
Yeah, no, yeah. He was, resilient, multi-skilled, but, he had a sense of justice that he was going to, defend those that couldn't defend themselves, and to kind of, fly the flag, even though it's a lot of covert ops, but he was an enforcer, right? He was seeing it through. So activates all those old, drive, right?
I think
great book.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
I don't know if they made a movie, but if they did, I'm sure it didn't do it justice.
No, I'm sure not. I don't know how many. Are there many Tom Clancy movies?
Hunt for Red October.
Okay, all right.
Some of All Fears.
Yeah.
Patriot Games.
Interesting. I guess I didn't really realize that.
Yeah.
I'm more of I tend to read more nonfiction.
I could tell.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
Well, thank you. I should read more fiction, actually. I really should.
I just read.
I'd be more of a fun person.
I just read my first fiction book like 2 weeks ago for the first time in like years.
Really?
It's just entrepreneur pace.
Yeah, man, I get it.
It's a Dan Brown book. It's pretty good.
Oh yeah, which one?
The Secret of Secrets.
Oh, I've heard good things about that.
It was good.
Yeah. I really enjoyed. What was the name of his most popular one?
The Da Vinci Code.
Thank you. Yeah. Wow. I enjoyed that one. That was a great read.
So you know how you read fiction, right? And things that have been movies that way. It's like, all right, you already know the characters, kind of have that voice, and you're visualizing it, going through it. So the whole time I'm reading this book, the character Robert Langdon, it's Tom Hanks from Da Vinci Code. So I read the whole thing, and it's great. I was like, yeah, okay. I was like, I wonder if they're going to make this one into a movie. They're like, no, it's going to be a series, and it's not going to be Hanks. I'm like, well, great. All these expectations is like, be like reading it again.
So,
after, but,
you have used the word expectations numerous times in this conversation, and I'm glad you did, because expectations are a very interesting thing in my mind.
Double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword. I would argue that most, if not all, suffering in the world comes from expectations not meeting reality. Like, you have a blueprint, you have an idea of how things should be, and reality isn't it. So we fret over it in whatever way, shape, or form. And something that has served me in my journey after the military is having actually very low expectations, but having high goals and high standards.
I'm with you. You know, nothing like a tour in any service to lower your expectations, right? But yeah, I mean, you're able to achieve, like, you know, day to day in the military, right? Like, it could be the worst of, like, you could just be like, I can't believe how stupid this is, right? But then a moment later, and you're doing amazing things that nobody could imagine.
Right.
It's like long stretches of boredom and really short moments of hyperactivity that you'll never forget.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, but I think to relate that, 'cause it's a funny thing to say, right? Yeah. Of like, I have really low expectations. But, and I say this to some people that look at me like, what? But here's the thing, right? Hear me out. If you have low expectations, meaning like I go into a situation is like, I'm not married to the outcome. Like, whatever happens, happens. I have a desire. I have a goal, like how I want the outcome to be, but I'm not attached to it in any way, shape, or form. I don't expect the outcome that I want. What this allows is for a couple of things. One, when it doesn't go my way, which inevitably something is not going to go my way, I can be like kind of happy about it because things were positive.
Yeah.
But if things don't go my way, or if things do go my way, then now I have a positive gap of an expectation here, right? Now things went well and I can be really, really excited about it. So I have a floor that's very low and I'm above that floor almost in every scenario.
Yeah. So you don't want your expectations to be too low.
Right.
Right. But just low enough that every day's a win.
Well, but I guess what I'm getting at though is instead of having the expectations be what I have so high, on the other hand, it's like my goals are very high.
If you had expectations here, you know, the branches of opportunities that you probably closed off because they're below a starting point.
Yes.
You know, further behind where you want to start.
Yeah.
If you, I think we're saying the same thing. Right?
Yes.
It's like, in order to take advantage of, or to be open to, you know, all of those opportunities, you got to be willing to take on a little more risk, lower your expectations.
That's exactly right. And I think the flip there too, and this is where I start to kind of tease this apart, is my standards are very high. Because if I keep the standards and habits that I've developed within myself, my discipline or whatever it may be, very high, the likelihood of the outcomes that I want happening are much greater. So even though the expectation is low, what I'm shooting towards very high, and I'm holding myself towards the science of executing on that outcome, which is more likely to occur in that. So I take control over what I can take control over. Really, there's a short way of saying that. Do you have a favorite podcast?
Obviously.
Yeah, I know, right?
The All In podcast is
All In.
Got to be my favorite.
That's a good one.
That's fantastic.
Okay.
I'll probably listen to the latest one on the way back home.
Yes.
It's about an hour long. Yeah, I mean, just brilliant folks involved there, always talking about what's new. And it's, you know, geopolitics, it's technology, it's investing. They're all gamblers, so they're open to risk. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you taken that in?
Yeah, oh yeah. I enjoy that podcast.
Yeah. What's your favorite?
So my favorite these days is probably a mix. I really enjoy Diary of a CEO, and I like it because, well, one, I think he asks great questions, but also he's very open-minded, and he tends to bring people on that really just challenge my own thinking. I really enjoy, and this is probably gonna, like, some people are like, what? Tom Bilyeu in Impact Theory. I used to really enjoy his first ones because he would bring on a lot of people that I enjoy, like, you know, Tony Robbins and a lot of folks like that David Goggins, that really stretched, you know, my thinking and helping me on my journey. But now he's kind of way off in left field, and he's like talking to people about like simulation theory and like all of this stuff, which I find really fascinating. So I don't know, that's another one. I also really, really like Jay Shetty. And I like Jay Shitty because this is another one that really just challenges my own thinking, because he'll have people on that earlier in my life I would have been like, oh God, I want nothing to do with that person, like Paris Hilton or something like that. But what it forces me to do is I have that initial thought and I go, now you must listen to it. You know, because you had that thought, now you must listen to it. And I find that it's really allowed me to, one, become a more like compassionate person, but also really challenged me to think differently, you know, really open up my mind to just different stories and experiences in the world that I never would have obviously been open to before, and be surprised actually, you know. I don't know.
Nice.
That's what I would say about my favorites. How can people get a hold of you?
So you can go to my website, Veteran Executive Leadership. Hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm on there a lot, so you can answer through there or through the website.
Yeah.
Just shoot me an email, troy@veteranexecutiveleadership.com. And if there's something that you're thinking about, you know, moving into, you know, starting a business, buying a business, you don't know where to start, we'll have a conversation, right? It's like, don't be afraid. Like, we'll figure it out, or not, or, you know, I could refer you to somebody else. You know, if I'm not in an area that I can work with, you know, I've got a pretty good network, you know.
A very well-connected gentleman here.
Thanks.
Is there anything you want to leave the audience with?
Stay frosty.
Stay frosty. Well, hey, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate you.
Thanks. Hey, I got something for you.
You got something for me.
Yeah.
Oh, snap. Look at that.
There you go,
Thank
buddy.
you. I appreciate that.
You bet.
Hey, as always, please like, subscribe. If you have any sort of feedback, you know, if you want to bash this guy, just kidding. If there's anything that, you know, you have feedback on, like the way we shot this, questions, people that you want to see in the show, please drop it below. We would love to see that. Also, the Prize platform is launching again on the 4th of July. It is a completely different platform now. I really invite you to come by and check it out. And please let me know what sucks. I want to know what sucks, 'cause I want to make it good for you. So please take the time to check it out, prize.vet, and let me know what you think.
What a great host, huh?
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thanks.